Well, hello everyone. This is Richard Kadish. It's October 22nd and we're at the first South Carolina VegFest here on Hilton Head Island. And I'm with J. Lanning Smith, a local food columnist. And Jim, you're here at the welcome desk saying hello to folks arriving at this festival. What do you think of this festival? Why do you think, why here, why now?
Well, I'm really excited about the fact that we're having this festival because it's the first Veg Fest in the state of South Carolina. And this is a great time of year to have it in October where the weather's changed from hot to cooler.
Yeah, this Veg Fest came in like a hurricane, I'd say. We're here just less than 2 weeks after Hurricane Matthew.
Right, and the island is still recovering, but
the show must go on.
The show must go on, and people are coming by, and it's great because it exposes people to this way of eating, and I think it's an important way of eating, not only for our health, but also for the environment and for the good of the animals. So,
when you talk about this way of eating, you're talking about vegetarianism and veganism, is that right?
Yeah, I call it whole food plant-based eating, and basically what that is eating fruits, vegetables, legumes, grains, nuts, and seeds as much as possible, if not totally, in your environment, in your diet. Vegan excludes all animal products, and vegetarian excludes most animal products, which is important for our health, it's important for the environment, and of course it's good for the animals as well.
Yeah, I understand that eating meat is not very good for the animals. Of course, we have two parts to it, don't we? We have the health benefits, and then you have the moral issues,
right?
The ethical issues. And then from a practical standpoint, you're a food columnist, a food writer, a blogger. One of the things I imagine that you address a lot in your columns, I know you do, is the difficulty of going and eating out, and what restaurants do you go to? How do you, eat out socially with friends who are not vegetarians or vegans? Do many people talk to you about that?
Yeah, and actually, when I first started, I thought that would be one of the hardest things for me is going out to eat and trying to figure out how to do that. And so I publish a restaurant report where I actually talk about different restaurants and foods that you can eat at these restaurants, things that you can order. And a lot of times too, when you go into a restaurant, if it's not a national chain or something, but one in which you have a local chef, you can tell them how you eat and they'll prepare something for you if it's not on the menu. And a lot of times what I found is that when I'm with other people and these other people don't eat this way, they look at my plate and they actually say, gee, I wish I had ordered that, or I'd like to eat that instead of what I have, because a lot of these foods, they look delicious and they taste delicious, and a lot of people like that. So even though it can seem challenging when you go out to eat, it's actually not as difficult as it seems. And because you're eating different foods than what you would eat at home, it can be a very good experience.
My own experience is that it is harder to eat out in many locations. Certainly harder than it is at home, where you can just make a great salad, for one thing. I mean, it's so easy just to make a great salad, or rice, or vegetables, and fruit, and so forth. It's plentiful at home.
Right.
But I know, from speaking for myself, I eat out with people that are not vegetarians or vegans all the time.
Right.
And it seems like there is always something on the menu, if not a formal vegetarian dish, then at least something like you might have like a veggie lasagna, or even just pasta, some sort of Italian dish, as long as they, now I understand you can't tell people not to eat meat. I understand that that's a very sensitive issue, that the general politically correct thing to do is to tell people, for both moral and health reasons, that they should eat less meat. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, there's issues around, as a writer, there's issues around saying don't eat meat. Publishers don't like to hear that because they have advertisers who are selling meat products. And there are disparagement laws about if you affect sales of the meat industry, then you can be sued for that. But I try to keep a positive spin by talking about what to eat. And I actually think that that's important anyway, even if you didn't have those laws, because it's important for people to know exactly what they can eat from a health standpoint. And there's certain foods that are healthier than others, even in the vegetarian and vegan world. And so,
Sure.
So I try to emphasize that.
So locally here, I mean, I know you live in Sun City. You have the Eat Smart, Live Longer Club out there, over 500 members.
Right.
And tremendous testimonials every month during those monthly meetings about the benefits of vegetarian and vegan living and helping people get off prescription drugs, things like that. Out here in the rest of the community, this particular festival, I understand, is part of the Palmetto Plant Eaters group, which is for everyone outside of the gates of Sun City.
Right.
And do you see in your writing and talking to people a trend towards more vegetarianism, more veganism, less meat, healthier eating?
Yeah, I'm seeing more and more people picking it up, and I mean, people go differently. You know, some people go fully into it, and some people are kind of coming along gradually. But I think overall, I think we are seeing that. I think it's a matter of education. The more informed people become about this way of eating and the benefits of it, particularly from a nutrition standpoint, I think people are coming more and more on board.
So like you said before, they don't necessarily have to eat and smell bacon. It doesn't have to eat and smell bacon to taste good. A lot of the vegetarian and vegan dishes are quite delicious, aren't they?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So so the health benefits are there, and what do you, and there's two general schools of thought, I guess, or how to approach this. Some people do what's called the quick start or the kickstart programs if they're curious about trying out more usually if you go baby steps where you might say, well, I'm going to become a vegetarian and then see how that goes.
Yeah.
Maybe a vegan might seem to be too much of a stretch for some people. So what I understand is you have these quick start programs which you go cold turkey altogether, and you have the kind of baby steps or a little less meat as you go. Do you subscribe to one or the other, or do you think both are good?
Well, I think both are good depending on the person. I personally didn't think that I could go vegan when I started, and so I started with a program called VB6, which stands for Vegan Before 6. It's there's a book by Mark Bittman that talks about that, and I thought, well, that's something I could do, because one meal a day I could eat what I wanted, and the rest of the day I'd eat vegan, and I thought that's possible. But eventually, as I started doing it, then I started desiring more and more to eat vegan and whole food plant-based as opposed to doing the VB6. We also have programs that are 21-day kickstart programs where we encourage people to go cold turkey, so to speak, for 3 weeks. And try it, and then at the end of 3 weeks, they can go back to whatever they want. But most people feel that they can do it for 3 weeks, and so for 3 weeks works for a lot of people.
I think different strokes for different folks. Personally, I am a vegan, and you know that. I used to, when I would get my burrito as an example, they say, well, you want chicken or steak, and I'd say, well, chicken, but not very much chicken, just a little chicken.
Yeah.
And then I said, oh, even less than that. And then finally I realized, why do I need the chicken at all?
Yeah.
And I would just, no chicken. Well, you know what? On a health basis, I'm better off. Without I lost weight. People tell me, and I have myself, lost the prescription drugs, don't need them, based on the diet. So you don't have to jump in and suddenly change your world upside down if you just eat less of what is making you overweight or giving you bad health. And what's so difficult, I find too, is it's very hard for people to connect the dots. They say, like Dr. Greger says in his book, I think it was in his book, he says, if people ate a steak and just keeled over dead, they'd realize I shouldn't eat that. But because it's a long period of time that just gradually affects you, that people then ultimately, when they have the heart attack or the cancer or whatever it is, the diabetes, they just can't put it together, and they just somehow don't seem to realize that it's really the diet, stupid.
Yeah.
Not to be mean about it, but it, really, the answer to why our healthcare system is so overwhelmed, I think, comes down to really diet.
Yeah.
We're eating the wrong things.
Right.
We're eating things that are not good for us.
Right.
And I hear you agreeing with that.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really not that mysterious. The diet is to just change your diet. The correct diet is to go whole foods, fruits and vegetables, plant-based.
Mm-hmm.
That's the answer, isn't it? And to think about it, I mean, economically, morally.
I think it's one of the most critical issues we have today, because you look at people today, I mean, they're much... If you go back and you watch movies from the 60s, or television shows from the 60s and 50s, you don't see overweight people. You see people who are normal weight or
Very good
skinny,
point.
you know, and
Very good
now
point.
it's just kind of the opposite. You know, you see a lot of overweight people and
That's right.
sick
And
people.
and this is the election season, and of course, diet is the elephant in the living room, as far as I can see. It's never discussed because of the special interests.
Right, exactly.
And I'm not being cynical, or I'm not being any kind of conspiratorial, excepting for the fact that we all know that because these big special interests, the agribusinesses and so forth, they buy the politicians, they have the media in their pockets. It's a lot of resistance, and so this whole plant eaters movement is really a bottom-up movement. We cannot rely on the government or our politicians or even our doctors to tell us that we should change our diet.
Right.
We have to take it on ourselves, and this is why this grassroots organization, through this particular event, which is hosted by the Palmetto Plant Eaters Group, in my opinion, is so important.
Yeah.
And thank you personally for helping out with this, and for everyone who's volunteering and just kind of trying to inspire people and inform them and educate them as to the fact that there are alternatives, simple diet alternatives, to make them healthier and happier.
Yeah.
And it's really not that hard.
And thank you, and for those who are interested, I do have a blog at www.finallyourtime.com.
www.finallyourtime.com.
Right, and I write about this, and I think it's worthwhile reading. I'm read all over the world, actually, almost every country. I do have readers.
Well, please subscribe, and Jim, thank you so much for talking with me today, and I'm sure a lot of people have been very interested in what you had to say. So thank you very much.
Thank you.